Hey folk, welcome back. So for today's video, I thought it might be fun to discuss some doll themes that are like less popular slash sort of being forgotten entirely. There are certain themes that you tend to see like across doll lines as long as the doll lines last long enough. Like a lot of the time you'll end up getting some sort of swimsuit theme or like a pajama theme, sometimes a formal theme thrown in there. There just are these themes that are very common that you'll see across so many different brands. But over time, I do think that the most common themes are changing, and some themes seem to have been nearly forgotten entirely in terms of like doll brands that currently exist and doll lines that are currently being released. So I just thought it would be fun to take a look at some lines that are like getting less popular slash have been significantly less popular for some time now, and just like talk about it, theorize on maybe why they're less popular and what's going on there. I don't know. I just thought this might be an interesting thing to discuss. I did ask you guys on the community tab like literally a month ago to weigh in and share any themes that you guys thought were on that spectrum of like being forgotten to forgotten. I can't include all of them in today's video just because like timing and all that jazz, but thank you to everyone who replied. And I am so sorry that this video took so long to come out after I made that post. Like I wanted to do it quite soon after. Like I made that post with the intention of like a week or two later making the video. And then things just kept happening, both like in my life, but also just other stuff in the doll community kept happening. And I was like, oh, I need to push this video forward. Oh, I need to make this video now. And so this one just kept getting pushed back, but we're here finally. So let's go ahead and dive on in. So we are going to be starting off with themes that are more on their way out versus entirely out. And then we're going to, move further down the line to themes that just flat out don't get dolls anymore. I don't think these are all organized like perfectly where I would place them along the scale, but that's generally what we're going to be doing and how I've tried to organize this. So the first one is just winter themes, which I know you're like, hold on, I feel like we still get those. And we do. This is one that I think is like on the way out. Like, I don't think this is something that has been completely forgotten, obviously, but I do think that winter themes are becoming a little bit less popular, or they're becoming like a little bit less well done. That sounds so mean, but to illustrate my point, I'm going to take a look at two brands here, Rainbow High and then like LOL dolls as a whole. They have so many, they've got like tots, OMGs, tweens, but LOL dolls as a whole. So this is the first Rainbow High winter line. This was Winter Break. I always like mix the names up. I don't know why, but these were really impressive dolls. I have two of them. The other ones in the line I didn't get, not because I thought that they were bad dolls. I just didn't like them personally. So it's like a subjective taste issue. But I thought that these were really fun dolls. They all came with either skis or snowboards, and they all came with two full winter outfits. Like, it was so much that these dolls came with. I genuinely think that this was an incredible line. And then their second one, like Winter Wonderland or something like that, a little bit less so. This is like post, Rainbow High reboot. So there is that. There's inherently less articulation because of that. So they're already on lower budget bodies. We also have fewer characters. The first one had what, 5 or 6? Hold on. 6. The first one had 6 characters. And then the second line only had 4 characters. They all came with only one outfit plus that weird gimmick situation. And also they were sort of all over the place. Like half the outfits didn't really say winter to me. I mean, Skylar's in a mermaid costume. She has a jacket on, but she's in a mermaid costume. Bella, in this one, you can't see it as well, but Bella is like straight up in a ball gown, basically, plus like a little leather jacket. It's very strange. Like none of these girls are in the same line in terms of like, there's no cohesiveness to the line, I guess is what I'm saying. Whereas the first lineup, it was like, these dolls all go together. These dolls are a little bit of a mess. So you can just sort of see that like the 2 times that Rainbow High has done winter themes, they're just not on the same level. And the more recent one is, it's a little bit worse in my opinion. And then when it comes to LOL, they made a couple of lines for OMG. There were winter themed technically. Honestly, I think there might have been maybe like a winter fashion one too. I can't remember, but we're going to take a look at Winter Chill and Winter Disco. So this is the first lineup for Winter Chill. Admittedly, not all of these dolls really look that wintry. I mean, especially I'm so bad with OMG names. I'm bad with doll names in general sometimes, but especially OMG names, I don't know. But the two on the left, I think, are definitely the least wintry, and then the like second from the right looks more fall to me than winter, but it's called winter chill, so we're just saying that. In terms of quality though, I mean OMG is renowned for having nice, really good quality pieces. Plus this was back when they still came with the tots. I've never cared about the tots, so like it's not a point for it in terms of like, oh my gosh, yay, the tots, but it's like they came with a whole baby doll, right? Like they came with a lot. And then Winter Disco, same situation. They also still came with the tots. These I think are maybe a little bit more wintry. The two in the middle I still think are, it's kind of iffy for me, but like you're still seeing the layers and the quality and all of these pieces and articulation and all that jazz. And then the most recent like winter thing from the LOL lineup, I'm pretty sure, I don't think they've done any winter tots more recently than on the tweens, but also like the tots are like not a fashion doll. So I think it's okay if I just exclude those, even if they have made some really wintry tots. But they came out with two tween stalls. So again, we're seeing that the line is smaller in both Winter Chill and Winter Disco. We had $4 a piece, and then we only get two of the tweens. And like they're definitely not bad, but I do think that their outfits look less embellished is maybe a good word. Like there's not a ton of printing or anything. There's like some bow details. I'm not saying they're ugly and heinous and like awful dolls, but I do think you can see a marked difference in the OMGs versus the tweens. I will say I think these are more overtly winter themed, but you can still see an overt difference in terms of like the quality and how many like pieces and details and stuff they have. So yeah, winter is still here. Winter's not a theme that's gone, but I think my guess is budget. By the way, these are all guesses as far as like the whys behind why these lines are less popular, because I don't know shit. But I'm just guessing it has to be a budget thing when it comes to winter. And that's why I'm like, I think we're going to see less winter dolls in the future unless like the doll market, just shifts drastically, because inherently like a winter outfit is going to have more fabric because you can make an outfit with a mini skirt, but it's going to look like a little weird if you don't put tights or something underneath it. So there's either more fabric used to make full length pants and full like long sleeve shirts and jackets, or there's the layering aspect where you might have a skirt with some tights, or like a skirt and some long socks, or a shirt and a jacket. And so they just cost a little bit more to produce is my guess. So I think, we're seeing a tiny decline in winter dolls. I'm hoping it picks back up though, because I think winter dolls can be really fun. Next up, another theme that is like certainly not gone, but it's definitely like something that we're seeing less of is like proper formal dolls. Again, this isn't something that's like you can't find it at all. Semi recently, we did have Monster Ball from Monster High, and like that is a very clear, obvious formal line. But outside of that, we haven't really seen anything recent that's formal. The only other thing that even comes close is the Rainbow High Fantastic Fashion. But like, just because those dolls are in somewhat fancy dresses doesn't make it a formal line, like they are runway looks. They're not necessarily, oh, we're going to this formal party, you know what I'm saying? And we haven't seen any other things from Rainbow High or Shadow High that are like properly formal. I know we got the Shadow High collector dolls, but like, I don't know if that counts to me either, because it's not, hey, this is a formal line. It's just like, hey, here's a couple of collector dolls. Plus, I'm really more so focusing on the playline aspect of things, because you used to be able to get formal playline dolls, but like, I don't think Barbie has put out a formal playline doll in a while. Certainly not like a line. I feel like Barbie doesn't do lines really at all outside of like fashionistas, or like, they had Barbie extras. So I guess they had Barbie extra fancy. That sort of counts. But yeah, just formal feels like a line or theme that's very, very sparse. Whereas it used to be something that was like, if your line lasted long enough, you were going to do this. Bratz had Formal Funk, which I still think is one of the most iconic formal lines of all time. Like they're so, so good. These were dolls with two outfits. So it's like the most formal and then like an after party look, and I just love them so much. There's so many details and so many accessories that you got with those dolls. Monster High had Dawn of the Dance, which I think is another extremely iconic formal line. Like it was just a given at a certain point that if you had a line that lasted long enough, you were going to make formal dolls. Like Ever After High had a few that I think you could consider formal, but for now we're gonna be looking at Legacy Day. These dolls are in gowns, like, they're going to a formal event, and that was something that I feel like used to be so common, and now it's definitely more like, you'll get one-offs or, like, little baby lines or, like, obviously, there's the collector dolls, but when it comes to Playline, I feel like it's just significantly less common, and I'm trying to, like, rack my memory, but I really don't think since Monster Ball, we've had a proper full line of Playline dolls that were formal themed, which is just sad because I love me a doll in a gown. This one I also think comes down to budget because, again, you're gonna probably be using more fabric or more elaborate techniques on formal dresses because you want them to stand out. They're not supposed to be everyday wear. So yeah, I think this is probably just another case of maybe they cost a little bit too much and companies would rather have their profit margins than cool formal dolls. Still within the realm of like we do get them, but things have certainly changed is any sort of like motorcycle slash scooter themed doll. We did get the Bratz Scorchin dolls earlier this year, and those are definitely like very inspired by like race cars, like motorcycles, that sort of vibe, but they don't come with anything like that, you know, like, they don't come with any motorcycles. There's not even a, like, extra release, like, a playset that you can buy that has anything like that. It's strictly just the fashion, and that's not to say anything against Scorching. I love those dolls. I have all 4 of them, but I'm just saying thematically, it has been boiled down strictly to the fashions. Or we will see and this is, like, something that we're gonna talk about honestly a bit frequently this video, which I'm kind of fascinated by. We'll see like individual releases. So I think semi recently, I don't even remember when this like officially came out versus when we got photos for it. Um, or even if it ever was widely available. But we got a Draculaura from G3 with like a little scooter, and like that's very cute and fun. But it's just interesting that, like, that's not part of a line, you know? I mean, Monster High does frequently do, "Hey, here's, like, some of the characters, and they're in a line, and then, you know, this extra character has a playset, and they come with all this extra stuff." It's not like Draculaura had a playset doll who got the scooter. She's not a part of a line. She's just like a singular release. So we're definitely seeing, I think, motorcycle or scooter lines being more of, hey, here's the fashion, or here's one doll. But you don't get full lines like that anymore. Whereas it used to be the case that like that was a bigger theme that you would see. My scene had the Vespa scene line. So it was a lineup of 3 dolls. This photo is very bad quality, so I am sorry, but it's like all that I could get. And so the literal theme of the line was these dolls are riding Vespas, and so you can buy one of 3 dolls, and each doll comes with their own Vespa in like a different color. The whole line is about scooters, and then I think one of the ones that like comes to everybody's mind immediately is Bratz Dynamite, where they had the dolls, and I could be wrong. Okay, feel free to correct me on this one. I'm just basing this off of what I could find online, but it seems like there were a lot of different like packaging varieties for these dolls because they had the dolls individually, right? Like they had Megan, Chloe, and Nevra, the 3 characters that they did. But then you could also buy the dolls packaged with the scooter, or you could just I called it a scooter. It's definitely like a full motorbike. I don't know why I said that. Or you could just buy just the motorbike like completely separately. So again, like this is another one where it's technically not like you don't have to buy the scooter to get the doll, but it's fascinating to me that they were definitely pushing I called it a scooter again. Whatever, I'm sorry. They were definitely pushing getting the bike too, right? Like it wasn't, "Oh, here's the dolls. We're not making a bike though." Like you can imagine that. It was like if you want to buy the bike separate, you can. If you want to buy the bike with one of the dolls, you totally can. Like it was a big part of the line, even if it wasn't packaged with literally every single doll. So I just think it's fascinating that that doesn't seem to be a commonplace occurrence anymore. Once again, I'm saying possibly it's a budgeting issue because, like, obviously it's cheaper to just make dolls and not also make a playset piece with a scooter or a bike like that. I'm also interested I wonder if part of it is like a safety concern just because, you know, obviously riding on a motorcycle can be a very dangerous thing to do. Like it's not necessarily the safest mode of transportation. So maybe it became less popular because some parents were like, I don't want my kid playing with these things and then they'll want a real one when they get older and then they're going to like get in a wreck. I don't know that for sure. Again, I said I don't know anything for sure. I'm just spitballing here. But like I could see that as maybe another reason that they would get rid of, or not get rid of, but like do fewer of these dolls. I still think a lot of it has to do with the budget though. We're going to be saying that a lot this video. That brings us to a theme that I would say has disappeared in terms of we don't get them good anymore. Like you can still find this theme, but like, can you really? And that is Masquerade. Like, I love the concept of a masquerade theme. I just think it's so fun, and there's so much that you can do with that theme. But admittedly, it is a theme that I think calls for a higher budget. Like, I think that the best masquerade dolls kind of need to be a little bit more of a deluxe playline doll versus like a closer to the budget playline doll. But instead of doing that, instead of just like reserving that theme for really, really cool, slightly more expensive playline releases, no, now we get like Buried Secrets Series 3, I think this is, where they're super budget dolls with limited articulation and they come with a mask. So they're like masquerade themed, but the theme is also like mashed together with something else because these also are giving very much like dance class or like ballerina vibes. And like I get that you can wear a mask in a ballet. Like I'm not trying to say that, but it's just you do not see current day lines producing really nice, really high quality masquerade dolls. And I feel like that used to be one of like the most popular themes, dare I say, or at least something that like you could rely on, much like the formal theme where if a doll line lasted long enough, they were going to make one. That's how masquerade used to feel in my opinion. It was like, yeah, if they can manage it, they're going to do it. Like my scene, I think maybe has the most iconic masquerade line. It helps that it's in the line, Masquerade Madness. But those dolls were so, so good. Like the costumes were so pretty and so fun. Plus, they came with entire second outfits, which we love to see. Bratz had a masquerade line. And I will admit, I don't think that this is like the highest quality, but I still honestly think that it's more exciting than the Buried Secrets ones, if only because like this doll that you're seeing on screen wouldn't really appeal to me. Like I can say that this isn't my type of thing, but I feel like as a kid having a doll that like has a mask that matches the one that comes in the box for you to wear and then it comes with some makeup so you can like do yourself up too. That's super fun. It's not necessarily the way adult collector me would like a budget to be allocated for masquerade dolls, but at least this is something other than just like we didn't spend money on this doll. Like at least I can say the budget didn't necessarily go to the doll, but it went to a gimmick that I think that kids would enjoy to use to play with the doll. And then even like Throne Coming from Ever After High, technically a masquerade line. They all come with their little masks, and that is like one of the best Ever After High lines. Like it's so good, so pretty. I love masquerade lines and I think it's so sad that we don't see them anymore. And I know y'all are probably sick of me talking about budget, but it has to be budget, right? Because they're clearly still attempting to make vaguely masquerade dolls. Like I think companies are aware that this is a popular theme that people want to see, but much like some of the other things we've discussed, I think that perhaps the theme of masquerade is just so elaborate in terms of both maybe you'll want fancier dresses that have more layers, more fabric, and all of that jazz. But also, I do think part of it might be a sculpting issue. Like you're going to have to make unique pieces that you can't really easily reuse for a masquerade line. I don't know. Once again, I'm not on the production side of things, but that's the only reason I can think of. Because otherwise, why are you not doing this? So many people love masquerade lines. Next up is a theme that I've been bringing up a lot lately and really just bemoaning that we don't have dolls that fit this theme, and that is like the Western theme. To be fair, this one certainly isn't as iconic or widespread across brands as something like Masquerade dolls because in my memory, like off the top of my head, I obviously don't know everything. Like you guys feel free to drop more Western theme lines in the comments, but Western is a theme that feels like it kind of has always been one of those that mainly gets one-off releases. Like I feel like there have been a million one-off Western Barbies, but Bratz did the Wild Wild West line, and I will never stop being obsessed with these dolls. I wish they would reproduce all of them because they're so expensive secondhand, but they're so pretty and just so fun and cool. The picture that I have here, I think, is the first wave, but they did like at least two waves of Wild Wild West. Like they went in on this Western theme, and I miss it so much. I just think it's fun and different. We do still see it somewhat like our generation, which is like the Target brand for 18-inch dolls, has a whole Western collection right now. And so you do still see it, but in terms of fashion dolls specifically, because I do think that to a certain degree, like 18-inch dolls might be targeted towards a younger audience as their primary audience. Obviously, you can enjoy them at any age, but I'm just saying, I think their primary audience is maybe a little bit younger. When it comes to fashion dolls that might have a slightly older primary audience that they're trying to cater to, there are no Western dolls, and there haven't been for like a hot minute now. And I'm maybe a little selfish with this one. Maybe no one else cares, but I really, really want to see another Western line. This one I actually don't think is a budget issue. Okay. I'm not complaining about that for this theme, at least. I just think that perhaps it's less popular. Like I think in terms of the media that, like, again, the target audience is going to be kids. Obviously, a lot of adult collectors buy this sort of thing, and adult collectors might watch Western media. But I feel like a lot of media that kids are watching, so, the target audience for dolls is watching, is more along the lines of like sci-fi or fantasy. Like, I just don't think that Western is necessarily a genre as a whole that kids are consuming so much now. Still could be wrong on that, because I don't have any children and I'm not really regularly around any children, so I don't know for sure. But that's my only theory, is that perhaps it's not that it's too expensive to produce Western dolls, because I don't think that they would be that much worse than any other theme, right? And I don't really think it's that like companies are just like, oh, Western, ew. I think probably just within like the cultural zeitgeist feels like the wrong word there, but we're just going to go with it. Within like the culture of, especially again, kids, I think that maybe Western is just like not what they think of and not what they're most drawn to. But we need to get on that, okay? We need to get the kids back into cowboys, because I want to see some cowboy dolls. Okay, this next one, I feel like I should have made this video earlier. I should have conceptualized this video even earlier than that, because I do feel like some recent releases kind of make this a moot point, but that's okay, because maybe this is just a theme that's having a resurgence, and I will take that 10,000%. Fantasy themes, specifically anything along the lines of like the fairy to mermaid realm, like that sort of fantasy. For a while there, nothing good whatsoever. I do want to acknowledge we did recently see the re-release of Winx dolls, so like that's an entire brand based on Faery that is producing more dolls now. So like I'm wrong on that one. And I know we did also get the Bratz Fashion Pixies reimagined dolls not too long ago. I get it. Okay. I know that those have come out. But outside of that, once again, fantasy is one of those themes that I think has been mostly relegated to not lines of dolls, but individual dolls. Not that long ago. I think it was still earlier this year. Barbie came out with a one-off fairy that like actually went over quite well. It seems like she, didn't have necessarily the highest budget, but at least was well designed with that low budget, which was cool. But for the most part, the like fairy and mermaid Barbies over the last however long have been just absolutely abysmal in terms of quality. Like, just not exciting dolls. And again, not really part of a line. Even like the only other one that I could think of was Shadow High had a fairy doll, quote unquote, but that was her name's Eliza. I almost said Eliza, and then I was like, people aren't going to know. Eliza was part of the costume ball line. She's not a real fairy. She's just dressed up as a fairy. So it feels like it's so rare to find any good individual themed, like, or fantasy themed doll nowadays. But a line, again, I know Fashion Pixies and Winx are proving me wrong. Shelve them for a second. Outside of those two, nothing. Whereas like Barbie especially, Fairytopia, Mermaidia, like they used to have so many lines of fairy and mermaid dolls and, like fantasy themed dolls. And it just feels like something that used to be more common. Even Monster High had Great Scary Reef, where they turned all of the main characters into mermaids. And like, I know that line was far from perfect, but at least it was there as a concept, right? And like now, that's not so much a thing, which I genuinely cannot figure why. Like, I cannot for the life of me figure out why that's a less common theme, because I feel like so many people love fantasy themes. I'm obviously not going to say everyone, because not everyone does, but I do think that at least amongst like adult doll collectors that I routinely interact with, so many of us love fantasy, like to our core, just love fairies and mermaids and all of that stuff. There's no way kids don't like that shit. There's no way kids don't like fairies or mermaids. If we're living in a world where children don't like that anymore, I'm out. Like I don't know what to do with myself at that point. So I don't know why. It's just like a thing that hasn't been done so much. But like I said, the fashion pixies and winks are sort of proving me wrong in that regard. And I really hope that we see that trend continue. I hope that, sort of like at the beginning of this video, how I said I think winter is in a divot, but like maybe they can bounce back. I really hope that we're seeing the resurgence of proper fantasy themed lines, just because like I want them so badly. I know like within, like the last 5-ish years or so, we had Mermaid High and Mermaids, but those lines flopped. Okay. So we're not counting those. Those were swiftly discontinued. I need more lines, either like Brats with Fashion Pixies, where you're taking characters and brands that we already have and just like dabbling in fantasy, or like Winx. I feel like, I mean, even if this iteration of Winx doesn't go over super, super well, it's a brand that is getting a reboot. Like they're a brand that I feel like is, going to be around, like going to keep trying different things. At least I'm hopeful for them, So yeah, I hope we can see more. I hope that this video ages poorly in that sense. But for now, I think it's still fair to say that most of the time we're not seeing complete fantasy lines, and we got to change that. This next line, I think, is perhaps like the deadest of the dead, and that is mall themed dolls, which is just like, it's so fascinating to see in my lifetime. I feel like this went from a major theme to, I don't think we're ever going to see anything like this again. Like, I just cannot fathom mall themed dolls coming back into fashion here, but it used to be such a big deal. My scene had the Mall Maniacs line, which encompassed just so much. There were so many dolls, so many different themes, so many play sets, which was so cool. They did dolls like this one where she's like the trinkets doll. So you can see you get the Barbie from my scene, but then you also get a bunch of little accessories. So there's like necklaces and earrings and stuff, trinkets that you might buy at a mall. And she does come with her little shopping bags. Okay, this is not just an accessory themed doll. This is a mall doll. But they also did stuff like this one where they were collaborating with actual brands that you could purchase. So this one was Mud, which, does Mud even make stuff anymore? Are they defunct? I don't know. But she's got all these different, again, bags. So it's very, very clear this is a shopping doll. This is a mall doll. This is not just a fashion pack. But her outfits are like Mud branded. And I just think that's so interesting to see. Similar vein, we have this playset that is Skechers. So this is the Skechers store that you can have the dolls come into. And there's a bunch of shoes. And, there's the whole playset, like the shopping bags, the boxes, the like little place you can sit to try on the shoes. That is so cool and so fun. And it wasn't just my scene. Okay, I was harping on them because they had like some really interesting, really, really fun stuff there. Polly Pocket had a couple of different mall play sets. This one here I think is really cute. There's an escalator. You can see like a changing room in there. And it's just like divided into 4 little quadrants. I think it's just 4 here. So you can have your Polly Pocket go to different stores. And like I said, they had a couple play sets that were mall themed like this. And Barbie also used to make mall play sets. Honestly, it's kind of funny looking at these like side by side because I feel like I can see some similarities in these. But here again, you've got a Barbie playset that's like designed to have these different stores. I think we've got like a salon, it looks like there might be. And then there's like a clothing store. I think like a little like mini food court. I'm trying to zoom in to see all the details. It's not the best picture here, but it looks like maybe pretzels and like lemonade that you can buy at one part, like an entire playset of your dolls going to the mall. And they do not make this shit anymore. And I don't think they're ever going to. This one, I think it's just because malls are dying. Like, this is like not just dolls. This is a whole cultural shift that we're sort of seeing because malls used to be where you went to hang out when you were younger, or if you're a little bit older, or even if you are younger, that's where you went to shop because you can find so many different shops all in one place. And I have my specific area that I live in that I have the most knowledge about. I know that generally across the country we're seeing a lot of malls just shut down or sort of become more of dead malls and become defunct. There have been several malls in my area that have either closed down or like are barely clinging to life. Like the mall that's closest to me, I'm obviously not going to name names 'cause privacy. But the mall that's closest to me, every time I go there, I'm shocked that it's still open because, like, there's nothing in there. There's never any cars in the parking lot. There's no stores in there. Like, half the stores are just empty, you know? Half the stores that are even there are closed half the time. So, like, you can see that the store is there and that it's supposed to be open, but it's not. Like, they've got that shuttered gate on there. So, like, just in general, I feel like malls are not as much a thing, or if they're succeeding, again, I don't know that this is everywhere, but I can speak to my area. The only mall in my area that is like still a very popular mall is like a very wealthy mall that has closed down a lot of the stores that were more affordable for the average consumer. They still have like department stores, you know, like Dillard's or Macy's or something like that, but most of the stores that are in there are like very, very high end stores at this point. Like, instead of it being, oh yeah, you go to the mall and it's like your classic like Spencer's and Hot Topic and like Justice before Justice closed down, because I don't think that they have standalone physical stores anymore for kids, you know, like your Hollister, Abercrombie. To be fair, it's been a while since I went to this mall. I still think they have a lot of those, but they also have Louis Vuitton and they've got a Tiffany store there last time I saw. So like they're shifting towards a wealthier clientele. So like the people who might want to play with a playset of a mall, not necessarily the same consumer. And so I think the culture around malls just not being a thing, the way that they're not really affordable, that's not like where I feel like kids congregate anymore to just like hang out with their friends. Cause again, it's not affordable to just go to the mall and hang out with your friends anymore. Plus, like safety issues and all that, you know, the world is not a fun place. But yeah, I think that malls in general are just not the same as they used to be. Like, they used to be such a core component of especially teenage culture. Like, the mall was such an important thing, and now it's just not. So this one I can understand. It does make me like a little bit sad just because of like a nostalgia, I guess you might say. But I can understand why these ones aren't as popular just because I don't think that a mall playset would really sell as well anymore, at least to kids. Obviously, us adult collectors might enjoy it because, again, we might have some nostalgia for that. But for the main target audience, I don't think that malls are really a big deal. I don't think that they care so much anymore. So sad, but I do get this one. And this one I don't think is going to have a resurgence. This one was fascinating because I did not think about this up until like I read the comment, because a lot of the comments were themes that I was like, oh, yep, I kind of had that in the back of my brain too. You guys just agree with me, which is nice. But this one kind of surprised me, I think, because I didn't realize that it was something that felt like a full theme, if that makes sense. But it's anything like super duper nature focused. So modern day, the only one that I can think of that we have is just one doll, and that's Venus McFlytrap from G3 of Monster High. She's a plant monster. She is, of course, going to be plant focused. She got her Fearbook doll recently that has, like, you know, the little plants and the trowel and the watering can and all that jazz. But as far as a line goes, nature themes are definitely less common. I didn't even realize that they were ever super common, but they definitely were at one point. Going with Monster High, back in G2, I know we don't always like to mention G2, but back in G2, they did make the Garden Ghouls line, which in all fairness does sort of toe the line between fantasy and like a more naturey garden theme, but it's called Garden Ghouls, and one of the characters was literally a tree, like Thornwillow? Teresa Thornwillow? Something like that. She's literally a tree. So, like, yes, the characters do turn into fairies, and this also kind of fits into the fantasy themes are less common now. But I think this also definitely counts as like a nature slash a garden style theme of doll. And then we also had Bratz. This one was like well and truly flower themed. They had the Flower Girls line where all of the dolls come with like little flower tops and these cute little jeans, but all of the dolls also came with little seeds, like little flower seeds that you could literally take and plant, and then you could grow your own flowers and you get a doll with it, which is such a cool, fun concept. Like, I just love that. But we definitely don't see stuff like that so much anymore. I don't know if it's just like, I do think that there was a period of time where it was a little bit more common for dolls to have like a slightly educational component. You would get Barbies that have like a little book so you can have a story and practice reading, or like have a story read to you. If you got the doll also, you obviously had the Bratz with like the flowers. So there's like an extra activity where you have to go and get your hands dirty and plant the seeds in there. And I feel like in general, stuff like that as a whole is less common nowadays. But I also am wondering if perhaps the reason that these like really nature, like environmentally themed dolls are less common is just because I don't know if it's like a new generation coming up or people are just paying more attention or like the issues are getting more serious or if it's because the internet like lets us connect in such a different way and like it's so easy to connect and like share ideas at this point. But I do think that being environmentally conscious is something that more people are paying attention to now than like they used to. That's not at all to say that no one ever was. Okay, I'm not trying to be like people only started caring in 2016. Like that's not it. I'm just saying like I do think there's a lot more people, and especially again, we're talking target audience. Target audience is kids, but even kids like care about the environment. Plus, younger parents might be more in tune to the like environmental issues than like older parents. I'm not trying to insult anyone who might be older watching this, but like I'm just saying people who are younger who are having their first kids might be a little bit more wary about environmental issues than like boomer. There's no nice way for me to say that, but like if it doesn't apply to you, it doesn't apply to you. So I'm wondering if maybe companies are hesitant to make dolls like the Bratz ones that it's like, hey, go outside and plant a flower and do something, in the environment and we should be kind to the environment. Maybe they don't want to do that so much anymore because it's kind of a little bit hypocritical. Like if you have this enormous corporation that like is using all this plastic, maybe you're producing some dolls that have a lot of waste, just in general, probably doesn't have the best environmental practices. And then you're like, here's an environmental doll. I think that people nowadays are a lot more likely to stir up a bigger fuss and like call them out on that hypocrisy than maybe they used to be. And again, I'm not saying no one has ever called them out. I'm just saying I think it's more likely nowadays that they will get called out. And like especially again with the internet being so big now, not that it wasn't a thing when these dolls came out, but like so many people like not literally everyone but like almost everyone is online in some capacity, like so many people have access to the internet. It's so easy to at these companies and be like, hey, on TikTok, what are you doing? Why did you do this? Hey, on Instagram, what are you doing? Why did you do this? So I think that maybe these lines are less common because companies just don't want to deal with the backlash and they would absolutely just rather not produce nature themed dolls than like actually change their practices. But that's just a theory. That's just allegedly. I don't know nothing. I really truly did not mean for this video to be going on for so long. We're at like 40-ish minutes now. Two more themes. I'll try to be slightly quicker, but y'all know me. So the first theme is basically any holiday that's not Christmas. And like I am saying Christmas specifically because I know that we get the holiday Barbie and she's the holiday Barbie, not the Christmas Barbie, but like let's be perfectly frank, when was the last time a holiday Barbie was overtly and very clearly Hanukkah themed or Kwanzaa themed? Listen. Like I'm not saying it's right, by the way. Like I'm not saying that that's a good thing. I'm just saying that just because they put the holiday label on it doesn't really make it less of a Christmas doll. And like if you don't celebrate Christmas, that is absolutely fabulous if you can still enjoy those dolls. I'm just saying they either are vaguely wintry or they're overtly Christmassy. There's really not any in between there. So like we get Christmas dolls. And that's almost it. We do also get Dia de los Muertos dolls. I'm not going to talk about that so much just because it's not a holiday that I celebrate. It's not part of my culture. And so I feel not comfortable like speculating about why we do consistently get Dia de Muertos dolls. But outside of that, the only holiday that we routinely get dolls for is Christmas. And I think again, I'm not speaking to Dia de Muertos because I know less, but I can speak to Christmas. And I think it's because it's such a commercialized holiday. Like, yes, it's the holiday that like you celebrate probably if you're Christian. I'm not trying to say literally everyone, but you know what I mean. It is at its root, Christmas proper, a Christian holiday, not like the winter solstice, not, what they rebranded as Christmas, but Christmas proper is a Christian holiday. And I also think that it is like the holiday that is you're most likely to celebrate if you're not religious in any capacity. You're more likely to celebrate Christmas as, again, a commercialized holiday. And I know people also buy gifts for Hanukkah. Like I know it's not exclusive to Christmas. I'm not in any way trying to erase that. But like Christmas is an ad holiday. Christmas is a holiday where you might have the religious overtones to it, or you might not. You might celebrate. And it's like, yes, it is about spending time with your friends and family. I'm not trying to be super cynical. I'm saying, like, from a company's point of view, maybe that's a better way to put it. From a company's point of view, Christmas is a holiday where you buy shit. That sounds so bad and so cynical, but hopefully you guys know what I'm saying. So I think we get Christmas dolls routinely because it's already a holiday that they want you to spend money on. And so it's like, oh, we can do this. And like people decorate a lot for Christmas, generally speaking. So it's like, oh, we can have them buy these dolls and it's part of their holiday decorations or it's a gift or it's whatever. It's a very easy holiday to market to because half of the holiday at this point is marketing anyway. Whereas other holidays, I don't think are quite the same. Valentine's Day is also a very, very commercialized holiday, but that definitely is more along the lines of like adults, like kids, do their little Valentines and stuff. But I think that most of the money spent around Valentine's Day is certainly, older teenagers to adults spending this money. So not necessarily the prime audience for dolls, especially again, Playline dolls. But we used to get dolls for so many different holidays, especially from Barbie. Like, I'm looking at you, Miss Barbara. We used to get Halloween Barbies every year. And I'm not talking about like this year they did do the 12 Days of Christmas Halloween Barbie, which was super cool, but she was also what, $160? That's not Playline, baby. That's not what we're really discussing here. We used to get Playline Barbies where every year they would do a different Halloween Barbie and you could have your little collection and it was like this cute, fun little thing. But we don't get that anymore. I honestly was very shocked that they even did the 12 days of, did I say the 12 days of Christmas Halloween? It doesn't matter. They did like an advent calendar Halloween Barbie. I was shocked that they did that just because like they don't tend to make Halloween dolls point blank period anymore. But even so, that's still a very, very collector release. Not a Halloween Barbie that you can just pop into Walmart or Target and buy for yourself. And that is how it used to be. Same thing used to be the case for Valentine's Day dolls, or Barbie did like St. Patrick's Day dolls, even. And it wasn't even just Barbie, like the Sweetheart line, I think it was. I'm looking at the dolls, but I don't have the name written down from Bratz. There were so many of those. Like that was a line that went on for a hot minute. I believe the ones that I'm showing you now are from the 5th edition. So they consistently made these dolls that had some sort of Valentine's theme to them. I think they did Easter dolls too. So like so many different holidays used to constantly get dolls. And now it's really mostly just Christmas. Again, also Dia de Muertos, but like I don't know as much about that. And plus, I'm not going to complain about that because I feel like that wasn't always the case. It hasn't always been the case that it was easy to find a doll for Dia de los Muertos. And like, good on them for making those dolls at this point. But like, it's just not something you find so much. Also, now that I'm saying that, when was the last time they did a Playline Dia de los Muertos doll? Even the holiday Barbies aren't technically Playline, but like they're closer. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of crazy. So yeah, basically we just like don't really get holiday dolls for most holidays at this point, and even the ones we get are usually on the collector side of things, not on the Playline side of things, which is just like sad. I don't know. I do think, as I said, a lot of it has to do with the fact that Christmas is just a commercial holiday for a lot of people, and especially for companies. It is certainly a commercial holiday. But also, I wonder if it's just like because everything is so expensive, people don't have the income necessarily to just casually buy dolls for every occasion, if that makes sense. Like, maybe it's just the case that obviously, there's always a spectrum of income. I'm not saying like everyone used to be rich, but I do think that it used to be more common that people could have more disposable income to be like, oh, let's buy my kid a Valentine's Day doll. Let's buy my kid a Halloween doll. Let's buy my kid a Christmas doll also. Like I feel like that used to be something that people might have had the money to do to celebrate all these holidays, like major and minor holidays, with a little something something. And now it's like a little harder to justify that. That's my guess. I don't really know. But I do think it's sad that more holidays don't get love because like Christmas is not the only exciting holiday out there. Okay. I need more Halloween dolls, Valentine's Day I want a doll. Okay, last theme. I know with the holiday theme, I was like, I'm going to talk less, and then I didn't do that. So we'll see if I succeed now. But this last theme is pirates. Now, it definitely wasn't like the most popular theme. It kind of feels a little bit akin to like Western dolls in that aspect, where like I'm talking about it, but also it was never necessarily the most widespread. But we do have two previous examples for this one. So I still think it's something that's justified. So first is from Bratz. We had the Treasures lineup. Very iconic line, very beloved line. I personally love this line, and I am hoping that they make reproductions of it at some point. I don't know if they will, but like that's what I want because I want some of these dolls. I just think they're really cute and fun. They came with a couple of different outfits and like a little treasure chest. Very adorable. And then we also had from again G2 of Monster High Shriek Wrecked, which I do think is generally regarded as like the best G2 line just because these were so fun and interesting. Such cool dolls. This Laguna especially. Oh my god, I love her. Probably never gonna get her because she's expansive, but she's very cute. So like even though it wasn't like every doll line ever has made pirate themed dolls, and again, you did have your one-offs like Barbie has made pirate dolls for sure. It was at least a theme that like a couple of different brands did and that was sort of vaguely in the cultural consciousness, and I feel like it just isn't anymore. And again, I'm going to compare it to Western dolls in that aspect because I do think part of it is just maybe they're not as popular. Again, I feel like a lot of kids media is on the like sci-fi slash fantasy side of things when it's not more entrenched in like the real world is maybe a good way to put it. Like I don't think that as many kids are like thinking about pirates on the day to day. Obviously, kids can, okay? They can think of so many things. Their imaginations are fascinating and amazing. But I'm just saying, I don't think it's as big a thing. Like, again, going back to the media thing, I don't think there's as many pirate shows. Like, I will say, I think for a while there, perhaps the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise was like doing some hard work to make pirates more popular for people and just like something that people are thinking about more. But now, I don't really know if that's so much a thing. So if it's just not popular, I can sort of understand it. But this is another theme that I think would be really, really cool to see a modern day take on. I'm just fascinated by it. I think the idea of making like fashionable pirates is pretty fun. And I think it'd be cool to see what doll lines nowadays would do with this one. But like, I do begrudgingly understand. But yes, those are finally all the themes that I wanted to talk about for today. Sorry for this one being so long. Like, I really, truly, and genuinely prepped for this video and thought this is going to be maybe 20 minutes long, but I don't know. I just can't stop talking lately. I just talk and talk and talk and talk. So hopefully that was super, super fun for you guys. Would love to hear in the comments down below if you agree with my theories about these lines or if you think that I'm just like a little bit bonkers. That's fine too, as long as you can be nice while calling me bonkers. Or if there are other themes that you think have been sort of forgotten or are on their way out and you want to speculate as to why those are less popular now, I'm happy to hear it all down below, but I'm finally done yapping for today. So again, I do hope you did enjoy the video. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or your night or whatever it might be, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.